Hi, good evening, people. I am Daksh. I am the founder of Love World magazine that basically works on finding teenagers who are doing great work in life and sharing their inspirations with other teens. So we work on the simple concept of teens inspiring teens. And from time to time, we try to create industry white papers on the K-12 education sector, where we try to create idea repositories on what all innovative or new is happening in schools during different points of time. Most of us right now are experiencing a phase of life which we were never expected, which is an absolute lockdown. Everything is stopped. And what we think right now, that every section of the society is contributing to the society with its own capabilities. Like farmers are taking care of your food, police is taking care of security, doctors of your health. I think educationists or the educators at this point have to take care of two duties. First, delivering knowledge, and a new duty which is added to it, which is going to be super critical in the coming times, is creating knowledge that the world would need. So at this point, we are just trying to collect your experiences, perceptions, ideas. What all challenges are you facing and what solutions have you devised to continue learning during this lockdown? And most importantly, what do you think would be the look, feel of the post-lockdown school? Once this lockdown comes to an end, what kind of a school would we have? Just to share an observation, the idea of a school, the way we understand it, the concept of a school, the way we had, we can tell you one thing for sure. This today is the 38th session of the Love World Web Talks. Till now, we have talked to nearly 400 school leaders from across the world and gathered their ideas on no lockdowns and learning and the post-lockdown school. And one thing that we can very well guarantee, and which we can understand right now after talking to so many people, is the idea or the concept of a school, the way we knew it, does not exist anymore. It's already obliterated. Because the kind of institution that we'll be entering into once this lockdown comes to an end will be an absolutely new arena. Because a school was based on the concept of one individual handling a lot of individuals. And at this point, that cannot be the case. Every class will has to be downsized. Transportation will have to be replanned. And as far as the financial model is concerned, even that needs a reshaping now. Because this pandemic has forced us to make changes which typically alter the basic fiber of K-12 education. So we expect to know some more amazing observations and ideas from you in the coming 20 to 30 minutes. But before we start, there's just some days back, there is a very big institution in Odisha in India called the Kalinga Institute. They teach more than 50,000 tribal children without asking for any fees. And they'll be opening the school in some time. That Kalinga Institute's principal, shared a very nice statement. We just like the statement, so I'm sharing it with you. The statement was, a school is supposed to be an institution which brings the society together. And now we are supposed to teach them a paradox, social distancing. So how will we do that? The kind of teacher and the kind of student that we will have in the class post this lockdown is going to be absolutely different from the ones we let go before the lockdown. The characteristic of the student who consumed your teaching and the characteristic of your educator who delivered that content has changed. During this lockdown, all of us, like super skilled politicians, have asked students to go back to screens and spend 6 hours on a screen, which we ourselves denied before this lockdown. And since we have done it, a student is now prone to one-on-one teaching. And how will you get him back to one-to-many? And what will happen in your new class with a lot of social distancing, a lot of sanitization tunnels, and a lot of instructions on policy decisions coming in from the government. So today, during this talk, in the coming 20 to 30 minutes, we want to know, what do you think would be the changes other than just maintaining social distancing, sanitization, and all those basic requirements that will be there that the government will prescribe for sure. What do you think would be the changes in the content or the pedagogy of education that you used or will use in the coming times? And we're looking for some amazing ideas coming in from you. Just to share some ideas, there's a very small school in a small village in West Bengal in India called Padua. In that village, they did not have good internet. So they gave a very innovative assignment to their kids. They told them to create a custom dictionary at home in which they have to add 5 new words every day and bring that dictionary to school once the school opens. One school asked its students to do an interpretation activity by taking out the cartoon clippings from whichever newspaper that they get at their home, and then write an interpretation of that cartoon and create a complete scrapbook out of that, an interpretation comic book. This is being done by the Indian Embassy School in UAE. So people have been doing some amazing work. So let's see what are your ideas, your things, or your thinking or perception of the post-lockdown school. So once again, welcome everybody to the Blub World Web Talks 38th edition. And thank you so much for joining us and being here for this session. Let's hear it from Mamta ma'am.
Hello, everyone. So, post-lockdown school, that's a really good topic that you've chosen. And definitely things are not going to be the same as they were earlier. One of the most important thing, or rather concern, would be the safety of children as well as the teachers. So, health and hygiene, that will take utmost importance. We'll have to find ways and means of keeping the children safe. And maybe like I was looking at one of the videos there, I don't know whether it's real or not, that the schools, they have reopened in China and the children are having a special helmet and or things like that, and having a thermometer. Every child is being screened for fever. So all these things are definitely going to take the main stage. And like earlier, we used to emphasize on sharing, caring, and having lots of interaction and helping others. I don't know how we are going to keep those traditions alive, and at the same time keep our children safe also from this coronavirus, or maybe some other virus which might be lurking here and there. So definitely the things will become demanding. But one of the things that has come up here is online usage of educational resources. That is one very positive thing that has come out. Now, all of a sudden, children as well as parents as well as teachers, they have started uh, tuning in, they have started studying, and maybe some of the children are really very interested. I personally know a few students of my own school to whom we had to really, I mean, we have to catch hold of them and ask them to study. And now they are just calling, they are sending message, when is the class or what time we are having the class and all that. So maybe out of all these things, several few things are going to come up which will be very good, because every thing has two sides, and I'm more prone to looking at the brighter side of things. So post lockdown school definitely has to be very different, and we cannot predict. We can of course plan for it, but we cannot predict each and everything, and it will be more like a learning every day, how to handle the children, how to handle the pressures, and how to go about things, and at the same time inculcate all the values that we want our children to be. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mamta ma'am, for sharing your opinion and your ideas about the thing. We right now are trying to create an SOP for schools, a standard operating procedure, which will help you in the post-lockdown world, with a lot of principals participating. Just to share a small idea with you, right now the whole world is a part of a big educational experiment. The world has converted into a big educational laboratory. So this is the right time. If you ever thought of any idea that you think could help schools or teaching grow, this is the right time to experiment it. So I would request everybody, please build the habit of writing observation paper every evening, because every idea that you get right now should be documented. And before I invite the next speaker, before you start, please try to introduce yourself within a line or two, and then you can give your ideas on the post-lockdown school. Ma'am, I cannot read your name. I can just read C41E0DE3. So over to you, ma'am, for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Hello everyone, I am Vaibhavi Mehta, retired principal, Shardayatan School, Surat, Gujarat. So far as this topic is concerned, I have some points to say from my side. At this juncture, it seems that it requires a probable change in the education pattern post-lockdown. The course of learning and the way curriculums are taught may be changed. Aspects that were once considered fundamentals to education may be revised to largely accommodate life skills of the students. The basics of value education may be transformed into significant concepts. Not just careers, but the future generation will require resilience, adaptability, collaboration, communication, empathy, creativity, and emotional intelligence as well. Learning in schools will have a new purpose, and it will be a major deviation of the information focused education of today. Memorizing facts and data may become a historic event. Instead of being taught, the students may share their experiences and observations during learning. Approaches like integrated learning and experiential learning with greater implementation of technology will power the future of the education in schools, which is already in practice in the foreign countries. The world could require a different focus tomorrow than it does today. Perhaps education post-lockdown will have a greater focus on issues that endanger our health, society, and earth. Last but not the least, we also should take into account that dominance of the technology in the present scenario may turn a sociable human into an indifferent one, especially towards the family, would be the only damage. So, thank you everyone. That is from my side.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You shared a very comprehensive perspective on the kind of education that we need in the coming times, more of experiential, flip learning, student-focused learning, because technology has taken the front seat right now, and life skills and value education also have come up, and academics has taken a back seat for some time. Let's see what we have in the post-lockdown school. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's now hear it from Udit sir. Udit sir, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio. Please introduce yourself and then your ideas on the post-lockdown school.
Sure. Namaste. Good evening, everyone. This is Udit Bhatta from Nepal. I lead one of the Green School initiatives here in Kathmandu, and it's the only Green School initiative here. I find this coronavirus, this COVID-19 situation, really a shake up, especially in the way people think, people choose the schools. And I think people will have a extended vision of school, what it should be like, especially in terms of the physical infrastructure, not just the big buildings, but also spacious schools that will be highly chosen. So in terms of that, schools will have to acquire more land or think of expanding or probably moving into suburban areas in some cases. So I see some geographical changes, some choices, especially as parents as a customer will drive the thing. I see that from a green school perspective, what we have been trying to teach in our local context, that we should look at our local resources and try to make up our own set of knowledge in any place we are located. So I think this also will give us an opportunity to look more into local sufficiency thing, local context, and so utilization of local resources. So school also will dig into what's available in our area, or maybe they will be teaching more from the fields. Maybe there will be more project works, there will be more field visits to understand the local situation scenario. So I see that as a good thing for our area. And I think teachers are forcefully upgraded to technology, and the technologically challenged teachers will have will have upgraded by the time this will be over, because I think the worst might yet be coming. Hope that it won't come true, but so I think the concept of timings and period, everyday learning. So we had 40-minute class or 1 hour class will might undergo change, or more schools will be adopting such changes a little more easily. So maybe a 2 hour lesson, so including like project works, doing things, visiting places. So I see that happening a little more easily. And when one school does it, I think other schools also can replicate it more easily. And especially I find it good in terms of more collaboration. I think schools will collaborate with other schools. I don't know whether, it will be in local area, but also nationally and internationally. So this will also give an opportunity, for instance, of like for online learning, not only from local teachers, but also from abroad. So yeah, all in all, especially from environmental perspective, I see it good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Udit sir, for your amazingly detailed discussion on the geographical and the changes in the school and the architectural changes that we'll need in the coming times. And for sure, the parents' selection mechanism of a school will now change. Their perception of judging a school will now change, because they'll have to think more on the lines of health, safety, distancing, and all these factors. And yes, forceful upgradation of teachers has already happened. And I think now we will all have to upgrade our teachers, because just to share an idea, schools now will have to work in shifts. So a school would no more be a half-day engagement for anybody. It would be a full-day engagement for teachers. So we will have to rethink on our HR policies again, and even their training and their upgradation for the coming times. Thank you so much, Udit sir. Let's now hear it from Kulwant sir. Kulwant sir, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Hi, hello everyone.
Hello.
So I am Kulwant Marwal. I lead a school in North Gujarat, that is Anand, and currently I am staying in my hometown in Rajasthan. The situation is same all over the world, or all over the country, or we can say from day to day home even. So everything need to be rescheduled. One, we have to start everything that happens in class. One, and second, while we are working in shifts, we need to ensure all the shifts have gained enough knowledge. They do not have to be like different from shift to shift. Like one teacher teaches in the first shift and second teacher teaches in second shift. They should not be done. There should be one teacher for two shifts, and then the content and curriculum should be accordingly planned. Because sometimes it happens in our school too, if a teacher is teaching the same sections of even the same class, then the first lecture will get more energy, and in the second lecture it will be decreasing. And then we have to turn this classroom into the playgrounds. Like in science subject, we have playback days. In arts and commerce, there are a lot of project works to be done. And then school should always focus on the academic grounds first, and then to the co-curricular activities. Meanwhile, the government have already planned guidelines for that, because social distancing is a must nowadays. So co-curricular activities also need to be replanned or rescheduled accordingly, and academics need to be put in 90% effort. What was happening before lockdown was 50% focus to the academics and 50% to the co-curricular. Now it will need to be 80 to 90% on academics and 10 to 20% for at least an year. Then only we can cope up with the academic shortfall we had already. And then this is a good opportunity to get education for everyone. Even the government schools are turning technologically very good nowadays. Private school can even cooperate with the government school and can also interchange the teachers, and students should have the you know students should have the liberty to choose either they are good in homeschooling or good in shift schooling. The students who are willing to participate in physical class, they can, and those are not able to do so, they should be given the liberty to get homeschooled for next 1 year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kulan sir. I think you gave 2 or 3 very nice ideas. First, actually managing the teacher's efficiency in the second shift, or we need a complete new staff for the second shift so that the efficiency is maintained. Second, the shifting the focus from co-curriculars to academics, but I think this will make the school a little more boring and hectic. But we'll have to find more ways because we'll be disconnected from a lot of students. Emotional disconnect would be a big issue in the coming times. So emotional connection can only be done through co-curriculars. So let's find more inventive solutions of how we will actually do that. And private and public school partnership can right now actually work because online education is something through which you can help. And I think this idea is something good that let people choose between homeschooling or shift schooling. That what do you want? Do you actually want to come to the school, or can you'll be happy being homeschooled? So thank you so much for sharing those ideas. Let's hear it from Shreyans Bhandari. Shreyans ji, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Yeah, hi Daksh. I think it's a good initiative to bring everyone together. This is Shreyans Bhandari here. I'm the director at Heritage Girls School in Udaipur. It's all girls boarding school, and I also run a social initiative, Green Soul. So there we are into upcycling of old shoes and donating them to people in need all over India. I think while education has changed in a big way, education is an essential, like the medical facilities and other things. So education will always continue, and the only thing is the method is definitely changing. So educational institutes must always keep their vision broad, that their idea is to provide quality education. How they provide it, that may change from time to time. So that flexibility should always be there, and with this crisis, I think moreover, it's been redefined. And I think being in a boarding school, we'll be able to more easily implement social distancing in classrooms, in playing fields. People will be able to be convinced of open areas also. I think a lot of NRIs have also come back to India. So they may also seek jobs and admissions for their children in India. The only thing is government should provide some testing kits to schools also, so that if we find any, because in schools there'll be so many people, whether it's boarding or day boarding, so we can easily check people and find out before it spreads further. And I think everyone adapted really well to e-learning. In our school also, we are seeing even co-curriculars happening online. Like we have a debating competition taking place tomorrow. So students will be debating online, and we'll be judging the same. Even the sports teachers and everyone is making videos and sharing with people so that they can work out at home and stay fit. So people are really adapting well to it. Even parents are happy that students are home, but they're engaged in these activities. So they're also very appreciative of this fact. And what will happen after July, I think we are still a little unclear whether it will be online, offline, but school will definitely continue. And as you rightly said, I think schools should also develop alternate income solutions. Like their offline school is going, but one e-learning should always be there where students can learn online from home. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Thank you so much, Shreyansi. I think the idea of actually giving testing kits to a school would be something very useful, because it should be done, and schools should be given the training and capability to actually do that. There was a very nice idea shared by someone that Corona had a lot of disease hotspots that from where it actually spread. The school in the coming times will actually change its role in the society. It will actually reclaim its position that it had some time back and lost in the last some years of business investment coming in. Because school can actually be the immunity hotspot in the coming times. Because you have the best change makers in the world within your institution. Because if an awareness has to be carried out, a child is the best brand ambassador for that. So the school would and actually can take up the role of being the immunity hotspots in the post-corona world. So thank you so much, Shreyansji. Let's now hear it from Prakash, sir. Prakash, sir, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Hello, it's me, Prakash Giri from Nepal. I'm leading a school named Gurul Activity School here in Pokhara. But now I'm locked in my village where I'm living now. The lockdown schools, the strategy actually, the school must be digitally and culturally diplomat and literate to run any kind of these schools. And as I have observed and have been observing, uh, as coronavirus, COVID-19 has brought changes in different sectors, and education is not uh, in isolation. So it is also tossed or test. So the schools must organize offline or online schools. As I would like to suggest, or I suppose to conduct the mixed way, like 3 days in online classes and 3 days in school, keeping the social distancing. And we can do the online best classroom, keeping the Google classroom, Zoom meetings, and different channels making on YouTube. And similarly, project-based learning, enhancement activities, and community service is learning strategies. 3 days and 3 days in a school program, like bringing the people about 15 in a class. Like in Nepal, in context of Nepal, we keep the students about 40 or 30 students, but we can bring them just 50. 3 days, 50 students with some respective teachers, those who can teach the different classes and handles. So teachers are like the sharks, and when they start moving forward, they start to die. There is a quotation. So teachers must be digitally updated and digitally literate and culturally aware. And so in context of Nepal, so people are just waiting for the new programs or strategies through the led by the local government or the central government. So we are awaiting eagerly how the government will be uh, granting or the providing the opportunity for the teachers. But teachers are the main core points in the classroom. Teachers are the everything in the classroom. And there is another saying that no method is perfect, and we can conduct different methods. Even going to the houses of the students and making a schedule of the teachers, and so that they can conduct the classes. So it's very tough and complicated, Nepal, but we are just waiting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prakashji. Let's now hear it from Swapna ma'am. If you can unmute your audio, Deveji, please. Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear to me? Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Okay. As my school is in rural area, so I am in agony that how can I start the school and what would be post functional schools are after lockdown. So day by day, I am just planning how can I run the school after lockdown. So as I think that social distance among preschool students, it is very difficult to sit. Preschools के बच्चे, they are waiting कि कब स्कूल खुलेंगे, हम अपने फ्रेंड्स से मिलेंगे जाकर. कितना भी ऐड आ रही है, लेकिन उन लोग को समझ से बाहर है कि कैसे हम स्कूल में कैसे हम साथ नहीं बैठेंगे. So that's why I think parents have to be careful for that कि उनको भी हमें हेल्प करनी पड़ेगी सो दैट कि बच्चे पहले से ये नॉलेज गेन करें सोशल डिस्टेंस में हमको बैठना कैसे है. ड्यूरिंग द असेंबली एंड लंच टाइम it will be very difficult, but we have to manage it. And otherwise sanitization or whatever, the mask wearing, these are all are okay. Activities must be there, not only scholastic, no, post scholastic must be there. So we have to careful about activities also. Since we are since lockdown, we are having the online classes. We are feeling the difficulties also. So someone just now said that online 3 days online class and 3 days offline class. That I don't think so, because online classes there are so many problems in online classes also. So I think all activities will be there. Creative skill, life skill, all will be inculcated in them. And as my school is in rural area, and I am talking for all the schools, not only in rural area, in urban area also schools to be has to be. We have to think that we have many, and I have also got some ideas from my mate here that how can I run the school. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Swapna ma'am. So the reason behind doing this activity is just to find out what all is happening in different sections of the society or different kinds of schools. Always when we create a call like this, we try to create a big variety of people coming in from a variety of demographics, so that every call has all the perspectives of being a rural school, being a school in a very evoluted residential format, or being a typical public school. So I hope this whole discussion was some way enriching to you. So since the time we have conducted nearly 37 sessions, and this is the 38th one, we are daily sharing some of the best ideas that we get during these talks on all our social media. And the first white paper on no lockdowns on learning, we are publishing on the 15th of this month. That means either, I think, tomorrow. And we'll be sharing that white paper with you as well. And it has a lot of ideas from a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different demographics that you can also use and experiment within your school. So before this whole discussion comes to an end, I would like to leave you all with two thoughts. And these are simply food for thought, so that when we meet next, I can have some more better ideas coming in from you. The first one. We all are right now using a lot of ed tech platforms or a lot of education technology products, platforms, or mechanisms. But what we can understand is most of the education technology products are not solving educational issues. They are solving communication issues. So education issues still remain unsolved, and you will now have to rise up to the occasion and actually demand for policy changes. Education in the post-lockdown world can now not be very well controlled by policy. It has to be controlled by the users and the drivers of it. Because the need is very personalized. It will have to be customized even to a single institution. Because you are right now talking to a lot of students who will now need personalized learning. And when it's about personalized learning, the content has to change. The curriculum has to change. So the reason why I'm asking you to share your observations or create an observation paper is what exact change do you want in the policy? We'll try to push that up the allies as much as we can. In the coming days, we are having the Honorable Lok Sabha Speaker, Shri Om Birla ji, come on one of the webinars, and we'll be sharing the white paper with him for being forwarded to the MHRD. So if you have any ideas that you want to share with the MHRD, please share it with us. We'll put it in the white paper and get it through. And second and most important, the purpose of education or teaching in a school is typically to make a student capable enough to, build a livelihood for himself. And most of the jobs or the new age employment opportunities that are there are right now being taken away by tech or technology. But our curriculum still does not weigh the skills on the scale of technology. If a skill can be done by technology, do we actually need to teach it now? So there's a new barometer to test your curriculum that if tech can do it, don't teach it. And if you teach it, tech must not be able to do it. So we found two skills which will have to now be deciphered rigorously to every single student. And the problem with these two skills is that you can teach them very well, but you cannot evaluate them. So that becomes a big problem, because since you cannot do evaluation, you don't know whether your content seeped in or not. The first one being creativity. Creativity not in the sense of drawings and paintings, creativity in the sense of critical thinking, perceptive analysis, observation. And to deliver this is again a challenge, and the most important, to evaluate is another challenge of another level. So I think you should think on how will you actually decipher this. And second and most important, and before I go to that skill, you'll need a teacher who can actually do all this. And the kind of teachers that we have right now, you'll have to think on a simple statement that we coined some days back, that think of the future teacher that you want, and also think of the teacher's future that you have right now. The future teacher and your teacher's future. So this is something that you'll have to simultaneously think upon. And the second and most important skill that you'll have to give every kid right now is, we all have asked them to go onto the internet or be online or be available on screens. And once you open the internet to them, you open the world to them. And most of them don't have privacy controls on their machines or on their apparatuses or on their devices that they use. So there's nobody to monitor them online. And the only person that can actually monitor these highly tech savvy students online is he or she herself or himself. You will have to give them wisdom. You will have to actually give them the real word meaning of the word knowledge. The word knowledge comes from two words: knowing, know first, and the second half, ledge. Ledge is where you stand. So knowing your ledge, knowing what is good for you and what is bad for you. So the core essence or the genesis of knowledge has now to be deciphered to every single student. So I think this is the right time to experiment whatever you think can work in the coming times. We are trying to do a competition just to find out those innovations. We are doing a competition called the most creative school in the whole of the world. And more than 7 or 8 countries are right now participating. We are trying to find what all creative you, your teachers, your parents, or anybody who's within your ecosystem is doing innovation, or what kind of innovation that is influencing learning, or that can become a scalable change in the coming times. If you're doing anything of that sort, share it with us. Participation in this competition is absolutely free, and there is a cash prize to be won. The only reason why we are giving a cash prize is just so that every single innovation actually comes out. Because a very small idea or a small thing that you're doing in your school could be a very big change in the post-lockdown world. The schools, and most of the schools, will be facing an absolute existential crisis in the post-lockdown world. Managing finances, managing fees, managing a school with very less resources will be a big challenge. So let's find out what all innovative are you doing. Try to share those observation papers with us. We'll try to publish some of the best of them. I hope you enjoyed the last 20-30 minutes. If you did, and if you want to attend the future sessions, you can open your audio and say a big yes. Thank you so much, people, for being with us. Thank you.
Sure, yes. Thank you.